Hey guys, it's Amy at Zoe Beck, and I'm going to do my book haul revisit for June 2017. So I joined BookTube in April of 2017, and I've decided to go through my book hauls from 4 years ago to see how many books I've read, how many I've got rid of, and which ones I still have. This is another really big, I had two videos, a part one and a part two. So I bought 25 books in that month, and I'll blame BookTube for that. I'm sure I had a lot of stuff. I got a lot of ideas from that. So anyway, I have actually read over half of them. So I think that's right. Or about half of them. It's really close. I can't remember. So there's only two books that are not here. One of them is because I exchanged it for another one later. So I had bought Wives and Daughters by Elizabeth Gaskell. So this copy I bought later. So this is not counted in this, but I got rid of the original copy I had. It was the one that was pink from Barnes & Noble, and I just didn't want it. So I switched that out so that I do not have that book anymore. And then the only other book I don't have physically, because I DNF'd it a couple years ago, was A Little Stranger by Sarah Waters. And so I have already gotten rid of that. So I'm just going to go through the books. Let's go through the books I've read so far. So they're books either that I bought after I read them, or I read them within the last 4 years. So we'll see. So Andy Weir, The Martian, I think I read it from the library, and then I got a copy of my own. So again, really good. Movie was good. The Clay Girl by Heather Tucker. I loved this book. Hopefully, I think there's a second book coming out this year from this author. I'm hoping. I think it's called Cracked Pots or something like that. I think it has to do with the same characters. I love this book. I was one of the best books I've bought because of BookTube. And then one of my favorite books of all time, The Witchwood Crown by Tad Williams. The first book in the Last King of Austenard series came out, and I had got it, and of course, I have read this a couple of times, but it's a good one. Also, North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell, one of my favorite Victorian novels. I love this book so much. I love it so much. Probably ready for another annual reread. Then one of my favorite books of all time also. This is a really good book. This is a really good month for books I brought into my house, is Silver Silence by Nalini Singh, which is book 16 in the Side Changeling series. This is my favorite book of the series. I reread this at least once a year, if not twice, since it came out in 2017. So that is that one. Watership Down by Richard Adams. I had read this from the library, so I've got a copy. This is not like the copy I really wanted. I wanted really one of the nicer big ones, but it's fine. So I do want to reread this one. I know a lot of people have, and I would like to get back to that. It was a good book. Raven Stratagem, another book I really loved, by Yuha Lee. This is the second book in the Machineries of Empire. I loved this series, especially the first two books. It's just fantastic. Sci-fi, very confusing with a lot of math stuff, but I really enjoyed this and love the characters. So that is definitely one I really enjoyed. I also got at that time Down Among the Sticks and Bones by Shauna McGuire, which is book 2. Yeah, book 2 in the Wayward Children series. So this follows Jack and Jill from the first book. Don't start here. Start with the first book. Not one of my favorites, but I did enjoy overall arc of their story. But so a little fan of Portal Fantasies. The City in the City by China Melville. So I read this years ago for a book club, and then the book club I was at during this in 2017 at Powell's bookstore. They read The City in the City, so I reread it and I bought a copy because I didn't own one. Strange Weather in Tokyo by Hirumi Kawakami. This was translated by Alison Markham Powell from the Japanese. This was my first book by her, and I really enjoyed this, about a relationship between a woman and running into an old teacher. So they're both adults, and they're both going through a lot of things in their lives, and they just make a connection. And I still really like that book. Need to read more of her stuff. Metamorphosis and Other Stories by Franz Kafka. So I read Metamorphosis last year. I think it was last year, or was it earlier this year? I don't remember. Translated by Michael Hoffman. So I have not read anything else. I've just read Metamorphosis, but I'm counting it as read because that's why I bought that collection. The Splendor Falls by Susanna Kearsley and The Winter Sea by Susanna Kearsley. I both bought physical versions. I had ebooks. I had an ebook of The Winter Sea, which when I first read the book, when it was available on, or when I got a Kindle for the first time. It was one of the first books I bought and read. And then Splendor Falls, I think I read. Did I read this earlier this year? Man, time is just slipping. It's either this or last year. I can't remember. This one has to do with two timelines with the Jacobite rebellion, and then this one has to do with a woman who's looking for her cousin, who's supposed to meet her cousin in France for a holiday, and she meets other people and other mysteries from back in World War II, and maybe went a little bit farther back than that. So anyway, I really liked both of those. I still need to read a lot of Susanna Kearsley, but I still own those. And those are all the books that I've read. Okay. So it looks like I still have 10 books of the 25 to read, which really isn't that bad. Most of them are fantasy, which is kind of, not all of them, but a lot of them are. Like, actually, most of them are. That's weird. So I have two V.E. Schwab books. I'm kind of unsure if I'm ever going to get to these. I have Vicious, which is the first book in the, I don't know, is it called the Villains sequence? I don't know, so Vicious is, and then she had a new book come out. But when I bought this, there's only one, but I still haven't got to it. I don't know. Something about men who figure out how to make themselves superheroes. And then A Conjuring of Light, which is the third book in the Shades of Magic series, which I've never continued past the first book. So I probably will have to reread the first if I ever want to go back to that one. So I don't know about those ones. Those are kind of iffy on staying in my house. I'm not sure yet. I have the first book in the Moontide Quartet called Mage's Blood by David Hare. I heard about this during that year, and I bought the first book, and I have never tried it. It's on a list of an epic fantasy, 4 books that are all about the same size, which I need to get to at some point. I also have the new improved Rummy Futch by Julia Elliott. I've heard so many mixed things on this, and I've never even picked it up. So I have it. It's about a guy who I think I don't know if he volunteers for like an experiment, but he turns into something weird. I don't know. Classic, I have The Left Hand of Darkness by Ursula K. Le Guin. I've only read The Dispossessed twice. I just need to read some of her other books. I read those one for school. I read it once for school and then once for a book club. So I need to read this one. I've always wanted to read The Left Hand of Darkness to get to it, so I want to get to that someday. This is a book I might get rid of. It's Mr. Mercedes by Stephen King. As much as I love Stephen King, I didn't really get into this thriller. It's the first book in that series. I read like 50 pages, and then I put the book down, and I've never picked it up again. I think I had an e-copy that I'd bought, and then I got this physical copy on sale at Pal's, it looks like. But I've just never picked it up, and I'm not really inclined to. So I'm not sure I'm going to keep that one. I have Poison Study by Maria V. Snyder. This is one of those books where I'm not sure it's going to be for me. I've heard a lot about this, about a woman who has to, I think she becomes like to not be executed, she becomes the food taster for the royals. I don't know. I've heard that it's one of those things where you really either like the writing style or you don't. So I don't know. I've had it for 4 years and I still haven't tried it, but it's on my list of books I want to try a chapter of urban fantasy and paranormal romance stuff. I kind of put this one on it because it's more historical fantasy, but I don't know. It's one of those ones I'm not sure of. So it might be on a try a chapter someday. We'll see. I have The First Grave on the Right by Darlinda Jones. So this is the first book in the, what is her name? Charlie something? Charlie Davidson. I've heard really good things about this. I think it's a urban fantasy one. I think it's urban fantasy. Yeah, it's urban fantasy series. Sorry, I had to think about that because it follows her throughout the series. So I've never got to this one. I think she is like the Grim Reaper. She's a full-time Grim Reaper. So I want to get to this. This is one of the ones, again, on that list of ones I want to try. And then this one, I forgot I even still owned it, is Shadow Prowler by Alexia Bahoff. This is a fantasy that is translated by Andrew Bromfield. I'm guessing from Russian. Yeah. So I don't know anything about this, and I bought it at a library sale or at the I might have bought it at Powell's. It looks like I mean, I think it's the first in a series. I'm not positive. It's hard to tell in this book. But it came out in 2002, so I might want to try that too. So again, it's a fantasy though, and you know, I mean, it's fair size, but it's like, yeah, almost 600 pages. But I don't know anything about it. We'll have to check into that one a little bit more. When I pulled it off my shelf, I was surprised I still had it. How did I get this book? Oh, anyway. And then the last one is another Hiromi Kawakami book that I haven't got to, which is the Nakano Thrift Shop. And this is also, I think it's translated by the same person. Yes, translated by Allison Markham Powell. So again, I've read several other books. Strange Weather in Tokyo was in the stack already that I read that I really enjoyed. I just haven't got to this one. I put this on like every TBR that has to do with translated Japanese works of some sort, and I just haven't got to it yet. So hopefully very soon. So again, we're looking at 10 books out of the 25 that I haven't read. Again, one of them I did switch out, but it got taken off the list for that. So I read, what, 12 of the, is that right? No, I read 13 of the books, got rid of one, well, got rid of 2, but one of them I replaced. So of the 10, I'm not sure of the V.E. Schwab and the Stephen King, so I'm not sure what I want to do about those. I definitely want to do the try a chapter on several of them. So I'm not sure. Watching Sean the Book Maniac recently doing his first video of a revisit, he was saying there's like some he wanted to take care of sooner rather than later, or try to reckon before the end of the month. And I thought that was reckon before the end of the year, sorry. And so it's kind of like one of those things where I've thought about that, but I just don't know yet if I want to take on another challenge. I'm having enough trouble with my reading. But I do, of all these books, this is still the one I really want to read. There's ones I want to try. You know, definitely for sure the First Grave on the Right, and Poison Study, and the new improved Rami Fitch, and probably also Magic's Blood, because I don't know how the writing style will be in any of those. So, and then, yeah. So, like, I might do try a chapter on those. But this one's probably the one I'm going to prioritize to read. I will definitely be putting this probably on my August TBR, because it'll be Women in Translation, and I need to get this done. So anyway, that is my book haul revisit. If you have any ideas of what I can do with figuring out with the books that I haven't read of that are 4 years old on my shelf, give me any suggestions you have. I'm not sure what I want to do yet, but I like that other people are doing this. Again, Sean started doing them, and I know, Doris has been watching hers for a couple of years now, and Greg at Supposedly Fun has also done them. And then again, Books and Lala started it with her Closet Unhaul project, or revisit, or whatever she called it. It was so awesome back in the day. So I'm just having fun going through and pulling these books off and saying how many have I read and how many have not. And I said, this is my better percentage of actually read compared to not. So it's probably not going to ever happen again. But this was really nice to be just over 50%, over 50%. So that was pretty good. So anyway, that's it. I will talk to you guys later. Oh, no, any of these books you think I should read sooner rather than later, let me know, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.